Oh, why did you choose this one?
Uh, I guess this one conjured up the most thoughts in my mind. I mean, I don't know, sometimes I find, and this is true with like most forms of art or writing or anything, like some things just immediately conjure up certain thoughts and ideas in your mind. Other times you really have to kind of like force yourself to see something.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe it was the colours. I like that there's quite a lot of rich colours used, and there's just a lot going on.
Yeah. Rich colors are like almost my trademark. I use those vivid colors, which are quite pronounced, not too mixed up. But yeah, it's like something. Yeah, sometimes you just find something that it just somehow speaks with you, and that's exactly the case.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
What comes to mind with it? How did it speak with you?
Okay. I have a lot of random thoughts, so just bear with me.
Okay.
I'm just going to run through them one by one.
Okay.
So the first one, okay. Have you ever seen Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith?
I'm not quite sure. I have seen Star Wars.
Okay, alright. Well, in the third one, there's like a climactic, epic battle towards the end between these two guys, and it all takes place on a planet that is essentially like a lava planet. Everything's kind of being destroyed around them and everything. And for some reason, this red paint and the way that the red is outlined across the black kind of looks like volcanoes, and it conjured up this memory in my mind a little bit.
Okay, that's pretty interesting. Yeah, I have seen a few like volcanic and lava-filled moments in multiple movies, and this may actually be a part of the inspiration for it. There was in MacGyver as well one volcanic scene, where MacGyver was hanging above a volcano, almost falling in. So yeah, but it's been in multiple movies, and I have actually watched documentaries on volcanoes. So this is actually, I didn't think about it, that it could be part of inspiration behind it.
I think the second thing that I was interested by is this I don't know if you would call it like a fallen angel, or
this one.
Yeah, like a demon woman, or I
Oh,
don't know.
yeah.
She's not exactly demonic, but there is that little element of that. This reminded me of when I was a kid and teenager. I'd often go to this place in London called Camden Town, and Camden Town used to be very, I mean it still is a little bit, but it's a bit more commercialist now. But back in the day it was very, it was kind of like the unofficial like centre for anything gothic, emo, alternative, anything like that.
Okay.
And you can still find places like little shops, little kind of gothic kind of areas that would have this kind of imagery. And I always really found that to be like really cool because it's just different.
Okay.
I like anything that's just not what you normally see, and particularly like gothic imagery. I really dug. I thought it was really cool. So that's what I was thinking when I saw that image.
Okay, yeah, like an angel and fairy subject is something I have worked with quite a lot, and I do listen to metal music and something like that. So we don't have a district in Tallinn for it, but we do have some places.
Yeah.
But I sometimes also visit them, so it's like something that I have been working with a bit, and still do.
I think my interest initially came from just seeing those places and seeing what they had, and then like you start listening to certain metal bands. Like I got into like Cradle of Filth and Dimmu Borgir and all these kind of bands, and they would always have this type of imagery, like all the time.
Oh,
Very.
okay. Well, yeah, they'll have some sort of a similar imagery, but I don't know. I don't. Maybe I have my own twist on it as well. So it may not be quite one on that.
Fair play. The other thing I noticed. I mean, this is kind of clutching at straws, but I don't know. I was kind of looking at this imagery of like, you know, the horse with the lady, and there is like a very, very small like sexual element to this. I don't think it's like really massively obvious, but it is a little bit there. But I kind of felt like it's almost like that thing of how society is very sexualized now, but you know, there is like beauty in nature and stuff, and obviously like the idea of feminine beauty, and then the horse being very like, beautiful, and I don't know. I kind of, when I look at that, that's kind of what I see, what I think. It's like it's like yeah, I don't know exactly. Yeah. I felt like I had a more profound point about that.
Okay, that's quite interesting point, because I somewhat work with, I do erotic art somewhat, and cool. This is actually one drawing that I made as a small print. It's much bigger in real life as an artwork, but yeah, this one is I call it the horsepower fairy or something like that. It was like my surreal twist on horsepower.
Okay.
That's well, I made it, but like you see it differently, so it's actually not that important what I meant doing it, because everybody else see it differently.
Yeah.
But I don't define my artworks with one specific meaning.
Yeah.
So if it speaks to you in a different way, that's very interesting, because it can be just as right. Because I haven't dictated you how you must see it. Like.
It's funny you say that, because when I was young, and I think this is why I'm into art, because when I was a kid, my mum would take me to a lot of like art galleries in London, and we went to a few in France as well, and I was always just really amazed by what I would see. And you know, like I was very young at the time, but I remember being in the gallery and just staring at this. I think I was like 4 or 5 years old, and I was staring at this this painting, for like 30 minutes. And there's just people walking past, like, ooh, wow, what does he see in the photo?
Okay.
And I'm just looking at it, like, you know.
Yeah.
And I think I vaguely remember this person asking me, like this older man, what I saw, and I explained what I saw, and it was different from his perception. And I find that that's always the case in any piece of art. I mean, unless it's something like really obvious, like I don't know, a picture of someone, or like maybe fruit or something. Like if it's something a bit more abstract, or if it's something like this where there's a lot of imagery going on, but it's not obvious what the purpose is, or
exactly. That's the thing that makes you thinking. That has room for your imagination to work on it. So that becomes usually a conversation piece as well. Like just because of that, because it's different for everybody. Like, and even for you, if you look this kind of thing in different days, you see it differently.
Absolutely, yeah.
That makes it much more interesting, like.
But I think this format is a little bit better, like how you like to just put something there and don't say anything. You just let the person look at it and see what they think. Because I feel like if you do try and inform someone, like this is the purpose of this. You know, I do the same with poetry that I write. Like the very first poetry book, I guess, that I wrote. I called it Open to Interpretation, and the reason for that, like, is quite obvious, but the deeper meaning was that I feel that any kind of artwork should be like that. You're like, I don't feel like you should ever tell. Like, this is just my personal belief, but that you should never tell the audience what the purpose is. You know, like literally just leave it open to them, and they can take whatever they want from it.
Exactly. They do it anyway.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Because
yeah,
every person has a different background and different baggage of knowledge. So every person can see, for example, maybe this one also, but anything differently, and there are differences in understanding. Like I actually even can't do it like put the purposeful meaning. Well, I can tell a story at the time, but it also may change, and usually does. I have the story difference.
That is still pretty interesting from the artist's perspective. You know, like what was going through their mind when they wrote this, or they drew this. Like, I remember my mum. I keep talking about my mum, but I think that's how my love for art was sort of, or at least it was like introduced into my life, was through my mother, because she would take me to all these galleries, and she also I believe studied painting, like art, for a while. This was at like college age, and there was always pieces of artwork in our house, like everywhere. And I remember this particular one, which was like really dark black, and it had like cubes, I guess, like 3D cubes all around the sides, and it was like when you look at it, it kind of looks like it's in motion, like you're moving forward or something.
Okay.
But it's very dark, very it conjures up feelings of like anger or sadness, or like darker emotions, basically. And I was always kind of mesmerized by this particular one. Like, I would kind of see different things in it. And I remember my mum kind of going through her process of painting that, like what she was feeling at the time. And it was interesting because one of the things she said was that the music she was listening to was quite aggressive. So it was like The Prodigy and Nirvana and like this kind of stuff, like very aggressive, fast kind of music. So that was like one half of it. And the second half was like, I believe she was going through some like difficult times in her life at that point. And I feel like when you combine those things together, that was what was expressed on the canvas, you know. And I feel like that is interesting to get the artist's perspective with regards to that.
Well, some parts of inspiration may come subconsciously, like you don't intend to put them in, but if you look back, then you see the suspects by looking back. You don't see it when you do it, but you see it later on. If you look back at it, then you figure, that may be.
I suppose it's kind of like music as well, isn't it? Like I remember listening to an Avenged Sevenfold album about 5 or 6 years ago or something, and I listened to it and I was like, oh, this sounds kind of like Pantera. Right, that's a bit weird. And then I read an interview after the fact, and it said like, oh yeah, you know, at the time we were listening to a lot of Pantera, and that kind of came across in the music, and I kind of feel like it's the same sort of thing. It's like, as you
influence.
Say, kind of gets communicated.
You may even not notice that the influence comes in, but but looking back, this is exactly how you see it. Like here as well, I didn't plan to have something like volcanic, but at the time I also checked some, so that may be the suspect, and some metal music can also be the suspect, and also my liking of firearms and guns. And,
I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
This gun always looks like wooden. Actually, was that intentional, or is it just the style?
No, it is wooden.
Wooden part of the gun.
There are wooden parts onto that. On AK rifles, there are some parts made of wood. Of the painting, and I also add here the component drawings, the Kalashnikov fairy and the horsepower fairy which I was talking about in the video. So these are separate artworks which I used as a components for making this one